guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina 𝔾ℝ𝕎𝕄 if you're new here. If you're not new here, still Karina 𝔾ℝ𝕎𝕄. So we are continuing our Get Ready With Me and GOTs. Still don't, one day I'll learn what to do with my hands. So we're going to continue on with the Get Ready With Me and GOTs. Today's video is about episode 4, The Last of the Starks. If you want to see me break it down, talk about Game of Thrones, something I'm really into, I'm assuming you're really into it too, keep watching. If not, we'll see you guys on the next video because we're gonna put some things on my face. Okay, so all the products I use I will list down below. So the beginning of the episode takes place pretty much, I'm assuming, like just only a couple hours after the Battle of Winterfell. We see our people burying dead Jorah, as you know, Jorah, Ed, what's his name, Beric, Lyanna Mormont, Theon, they all died. So they're burying them plus like thousands of other people, so they're having a giant funeral service pretty much for all the dead, because even though they don't need to burn them all to protect them from whites anymore, it would take far too long to bury all those people. So they're pretty much having a giant funeral fire, which is common for Targaryens to do that, so it works. Daenerys has a really like tender goodbye with Jorah. You can tell she's pretty bummed about losing one of her closest advisors. So she kind of gives him a kiss on the forehead, a kiss he probably always dreamt of. R.I.P. Jorah. Sansa has a sobbing goodbye gives Theon a sobbing goodbye, which even though he's dead, I still don't even just like buy that situation, but you know, whatever. She gives him her little Stark pin, so at least he dies a Stark. Whatever. The funeral scene is sad because, you know, everyone lost that fought. The Dothraki lost like all of them, like half of them are gone now. Dothraki lost, the Unsullied lost, the Northerners lost, the Free Folk lost, so everyone lost, so they just have like a big funeral for all of them. It's just nice. People are just standing and crying, and then they burn the bodies, so it was a nice little goodbye. What's crazy about this episode is that it's the last time we're going to see a lot of these characters together. So this felt like a goodbye to a lot of the characters, like being together, and some that we just might not see anymore. Like even if they're not dead, we just might not see those people anymore. So that's kind of sad if you think about it. It's a funeral for Game of Thrones, a show that was. After that, they have, I don't want to call it a big party because it wasn't necessarily a party, but they have a group dinner, and at the head table like it's Hogwarts, the head table we have Bran, who does he even eat? Sansa, we have a Starbucks coffee cup, we have Jon, and Daenerys, obviously. So everybody's eating dinner. What I like about this part of the episode is that so much of the story is told just with like glances between the characters. Like if you go back and watch it 3 times like I did, you can just see so much is specifically in the beginning of the scene. So much is said with the glances between like Jon looking at Dany, Daenerys not even making eye contact with him, Tyrion observing Jon looking at Dany and Dany not looking at him, and then Sansa watching all of that. Just, it's a lot. Then there's a pretty funny moment between Gendry and the Hound where Gendry is obviously looking around for Arya. He doesn't find her because she's out celebrating by herself, not in a crowded people. And Gendry's like, have you seen Arya? To the Hound. And the Hound's like, Jesus Christ, you can still smell the dead people in the air. And that's what you're thinking about. So Gendry gets up to go find Arya. And Daenerys is like, Gendry, and he's like, yes. And long story short, she names him Lord Gendry Baratheon. Lord Gendry Baratheon of Storm's End, which is a big deal. He is no longer Gendry Snow. He's no longer a bastard. So she's pretty smart, and she says it to Tyrion. She's like, you're not the only clever one. He'll always have to be faithful to her because she's the one that made him who he is. So, but it's a really nice moment. It's like, to Gendry, because he is a war hero, a battle hero, pretty much. So then he goes and tries to find Arya because he's like, I'm a lord now. What's up? Good for you, Gendry. Then we get to see Podrick, Brienne, Jaime, and Tyrion play a drinking game. Jaime's pretty much just trying to get Brienne drunk, and you can tell. I support that. I'm about it. Or it was. They're playing a drinking game, and it's the same drinking game that Tyrion, Bronn, and Shay played earlier back in season 1 or 2. So, as we all remember how that went down. But it's a cute little callback to that, which those were some lighter days. They look like they're having a really good time. Like they look really happy, so it's nice to see these characters really happy. But then Tyrion's like, to Brienne, he's like, you're a virgin, and then she like gets up from the table, but right as she gets up, Tormund comes over, and he's like, pretty much like, we survived, we made it, they didn't think we would, but we did, like, let's do this, to Brienne. And then she's like, I have to piss, and she leaves. Jaime follows her, and you can just see in Tormund's face that he's like, and later on you see him crying about it, and it's hilarious. Then after that, or before that, around that, somewhere in this episode, we get Tormund trying to get Jon to like drink from pretty much like a Flablongo situation. And Sansa's encouraging him, and they're all praising him, and you really notice that Daenerys is observing everyone praising him. You can tell that she does not really like that, and she ends up gets up and leaves the table in a hurry. Gendry finally finds Arya. She's celebrating by herself, as said before. She's shooting arrows, and he goes up to her. He's like, yo, I am a lord now, and you should be my lady. Arya is like, congratulations. She could tell she's really stoked for him, but she looks at him and she's just like, that's not me, which is a callback to the conversation she had with her father. And I'm glad she turned him down. I mean, not glad, because poor Gendry. Maybe he'll get with something now. If they do, I called that. If Arya did, like, agree, and you could tell, like, she probably wants to, but that's not her. It's just not true to her character. She's not that type of girl to just wed someone. She's not going to be someone's lady. She's not going to bear so much. I mean, she might bear some children, but it's just not who she is in her heart of hearts. And it just felt really authentic for her to be like, I love you too, but no. So after that, we get a shot of Jaime going to Brienne's chambers. And he makes the moves on Brienne. He brings a jug of wine. He's like, let's drink. I always like hoped, well maybe not in the way that the show gave it to us, but I always hoped that they would get together. Like we all like shipped her and Jamie, of course, but I never actually thought it would happen. Like realistically, I never was like, oh, they'll totally get together in season 8. That's just not something I saw. I think I always thought their relationship was something that was unsaid, and I'm not necessarily mad that they get together. I just don't know if it was like, I don't know, I just don't know. I didn't really ever think that we would see it the way we see it. But we don't even get to see everything. They pan away before they even do it. All we do is see them kiss and take each other's clothes off. It would have been nice to see some action, you know? At least like how much we got to see of Missy and the worm. I just want, you know? If you're gonna give me a Jamie Brienne love scene, I want a Jamie Brienne love scene. But maybe that's just me. So, our very complicated relationship between Daenerys and Jon continues. She goes to his chambers and she's like, are you drunk? And he's like, nah, and like stumbles. It's cute. Daenerys tells Jon she loves him, which is cute because I don't think he ever heard her say that. At least from their relationship, that perspective that I had known, I had not heard her say that to him. And then they make out a little bit, and you can tell like they're just like in the moment, maybe trying to forget about everything, but then they break apart, and the elephant, the very big throne-sized elephant in the room makes its ugly head known. Daenerys begs Jon not to tell anyone. She's like, let's just go back to the way things were. It's crazy to see her like that, in that position, like begging Jon or anyone to do, like, she really just, she knows that it will change everything. And she tells him, she's like, I never begged for anything, but I'm begging you, don't do this. And then they break up pretty much. And she's like, he's like, I have to tell my sisters. They deserve to know. Damn it, honorable ass Jon Snow. So after that, we get to see them making battle plans. They're like, half the Unsullied are gone, half the Dothraki are gone, half the Northerners are gone, half the Wildlings are gone, you know. They're like, everything's gone. And, forget who says it, but someone's like, the balance has become increasingly even because Daenerys has always had the upper hand. She has a massive army, had 3 dragons, and it was always like she could defeat Cersei, like hands down. Maybe before or even after the Golden Company, like hands down, Cersei had no chance. But now things are balanced, and I really feel like that's just a show thing. I don't necessarily know if it was that even before. Even with like I feel like they conveniently have a even army because they don't want to admit that they killed a bunch of people and that they would need to like ask for help from people. Like they would need to seek others out. They're probably just like, well, we don't have time for that. So, you know, it's even. It's fine. So that's just really interesting. So they create a plan to do something that I don't know if it's really weird. So pretty much their plan is to surround the city and starve the people until they hate Cersei and they follow Daenerys, which is just a crazy ass plan if you ask me. Starve the people that you want to rule so that they love you instead of Cersei. Good plan. Totally believable. Something you would for sure do. Not a bad idea. It's not mean at all. We love death and people being really hungry. It's great. I don't know, it just doesn't sound like the type of thing that Daenerys would be down for, but apparently she is, so maybe we don't know her that well. Or maybe that's what they think we want. I don't know. I just live here. I'm gonna do my eyebrows off camera and I'll be back. Pretty much after the council, they make plans to split the army for some reason. Half will go by land, take the King's Road, and half will fly. Or half will sail there, and Daenerys will fly. Jon does not fly with them. He takes the King's Road because conveniently he was not on Rhaegal when a certain something happened. So Jon he's walking, or he's riding a horse the whole way. So there's that. That's where he'll be. Daenerys is gonna fly. What do? After the council meeting, or they make their battle plans, Sansa and Arya and Bran are like, we need to talk. We need to have a sibling combo. Pretty much Sansa and Arya don't trust Daenerys, which, shocker. I'm totally shocked. We knew that. Sansa hates Daenerys. Almost to the point of like, why does she hate him? To hate her? Arya says, we are family, the four of us, the last of the Starks. And Jon's like, I'm not a Stark. And then they're like, yes you are just as much as my brother as anyone. Yada yada yada. And Jon looks to Bran, and Bran's like, it's your decision, bro. And then Jon says to his nieces? Cousins? He says to them, I'm gonna tell you something, but you can't tell anyone. And Sansa's like, how do I know I can't tell anyone if I don't know what it is? She pulls that move. And then Arya, of course, is like, I swear, I would not tell anyone. And Jon looks to Bran and is like, tell them. And then we don't see anything else. I don't know why they're taking all these incredible moments away from us. First, Brienne and Jaime, but now something like we really should see. We don't get to. We don't get to see Jon's reaction. We don't get to see Jon tell them, or Bran tell them. We don't get to see how they react. We don't get to see any of it, which really doesn't make sense to me, but they better have a damn good reason as to why we don't get to see that, because I just don't think that makes sense. Like, it'd be like them not showing us Jon learning his parentage reveal. I just don't think that makes sense. Daenerys has a last sweet moment of being a mother of two, because we all know that Rhaegal is gonna die at the end of this episode, so she hangs out with them for a minute, and then we see that he has a bunch of holes in his wings, so truly, should he have been flying anyway? No, he shouldn't have, but you know, I don't make the rules. Jon and Daenerys are both terrible animal parents. You never get to see Jon ghost, and you never really see Sansa. You never really get to see Daenerys with her dragons, even though she says they're her children. So you never see them all together, really. Like, they don't hang out that often. Are they even friends? You tell me. So, up on the battlements, ramparts, whatever, Tyrion comes to say goodbye to Sansa, and then pretty much Sansa, like, immediately tells him. It's like she texted him, like, hey, come here, really important person, I need to tell you something. And then he comes and meets her, and she, like, tells him immediately, and she doesn't even say, keep this secret. She probably had her fingers crossed behind her back when she promised Jon. Though, are we shocked? Are we shocked? Okay. So Jon does a round of goodbyes. He says goodbye to Tormund, and he says goodbye to Ghost, because Jon pretty much gives Ghost to Tormund after that. So he's like, he doesn't belong in the south, he belongs in the north. Where are my highlighters? Yeah, so Jon gives Tormund ghost, and he doesn't even give him like a pat goodbye. So, example number 501, when Jon and Daenerys are terrible pet parents. And you know what? Jon does not even deserve Ghost. So, there's that. I rest my case. And then after Jon says goodbye to Tormund, he says goodbye to Gilly and Sam. He goes to give Gilly a hug, and you see him like, and I knew it. I said from the very first time I saw her that she was pregnant. Mostly because I think maybe the actress, and there's nothing wrong with this, but the actress, or maybe they played it up on her character, but she just looked like she had gained some weight in her face, which is fine. She's still absolutely stunning. And I don't know if it's like a show thing or just like a real life thing. Either way, it's fine. But I knew it. And Sam's reaction, he's like, oh, you know, like, it's really boring where we were. There wasn't a lot to do. And Gilly's like, I think he knows how it works. So, it would have been funny for Ed to have been there and been like, Sam the ladies man. You know, that would have been a nice moment. But Sam and Jon say goodbye, and I just don't really think we're ever going to see those characters again. It's really sad. I didn't expect it to be so sudden. I really did not. Gilly says, if it's a boy, we're going to name him Jon. And then Jon's like, I hope it's a girl. Maybe that's a joke. Maybe he doesn't like being Jon. I don't think he really likes himself. That's deep and very sad. Poor Johnny boy. Things will get better soon. Maybe. So after Tyrion finds out what Sansa told him, he like immediately goes and tells Varys. Like, can nobody keep a secret in Winterfell? Like, come on. It's a gossip hotline. People can't keep their traps shut. And then Tyrion says what I've been saying the whole time, like, why don't they get married? And then he's like, that never stopped a Targaryen before. And then Varys is like, Jon was raised in Winterfell. Is marrying your aunt common in Winterfell? I thought that was funny. But true, like, I mean, like, obviously I understand why they don't get married, because even if they did, people would still look to Jon, and to Daenerys is 100% gonna want like all of the power and not want to be like second in command. She's gonna want to be first in command. Though I think it could work, like if they just like had a conversation, sat down, talked, man to man, lady to lady. They were like, hey, let's just rule together because we're in love, so we can make it work. So then we get the incredibly like epic and insane, and I don't really know how it like worked out, but whatever, moment with, I'm just gonna throw a pop color in because why not, the insane moment where Rhaegal gets shot out of the sky out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere. Euron and all his ships are sailing, and like, how did Daenerys not see them? She is flying above in the sky where you fly, and she doesn't see like 10 ships. Like, it truly does not make sense that she didn't see them. That's like really one show flaw, I'll tell you right now. Like, she would have seen them. And why didn't she, like, she's like looking at them and you can tell she's really pissed because her son just died. But why didn't she go like Dracarys all over them? It doesn't make sense. A lot of the decisions that they've made this episode slash season slash show just like don't make sense, you know? So Rhaegal dies, unfortunately, because Euron is an asshole and he killed him, shot him out of the sky like 4 times. I don't know how he had such good aim. So R.I.P. Rhaegal. Sorry, Jon. Didn't get to hang out with you for much longer. But then they, instead of shooting out the sky, they start shooting the boats, and then that's the boat that Grey Worm Missandei Tyrion and Varys and like everybody else that was boating was on. So we get to see them all get shot. They climb on to the land, and there's a terrible moment where Grey Worm is like crying out Missandei's name. He's like, "Where are you? Where are you, Missandei? Missandei of North, where are you?" And turns out that Missandei got taken by Euron's troops and was brought to King's Landing because everybody knows that she's Daenerys' like right-hand man. So Cersei brings all the King's Landing people into like the Red Keep pretty much to be like, okay, if you're gonna come attack me, you have to kill all these people too because they're here, then you're gonna kill the bad guy, which is pretty genius, but really sucks on Cersei's end because she really just doesn't fucking care. She's very evil. And Cersei then tells Euron like, "Oh my god, I'm having your baby," and Euron probably obviously doesn't understand how babies work. Because it's too soon for that to be a thing, but whatever, he doesn't know. He's like, "What? Really? We had sex yesterday and you're already pregnant? Cool." That's really gonna piss Jaime off when he finds out, because he's like, he even asked her like, "Whose baby are you gonna say it is?" And she's like, "Yours. It's our baby." So, fuck you, Cersei. So their plan, since Cersei has Missandei, is to go talk to them and be like, "Hey, you should step down, and then nobody will have to die and it'll be great." So they're pretty much doing that tactic. It's mostly so that the people will see that Daenerys tried, but you know, we all know how that's gonna go. Back in Winterfell, we see Jaime find out about what Cersei had done, and in the middle of the night, he leaves Brienne's bedside, he leaves her naked, and she runs after him in a beautiful robe, and he is like, leaves her sobbing, literally sobbing in Winterfell, and he's going back to King's Landing, and he just delivers this iconic line. He says to her, "She's hateful, and so am I," and just really says a lot about their characters, or his character, and what's happened to him. And I think he's going to kill Cersei, hopefully. I don't think he's going back to her. I think he sees who she is now, and especially once he finds out that she's telling people it's Euron's baby, even though it is definitely not. So they are in front of King's Landing trying to talk to Cersei. Long story short, neither side bowed down. They both are like, no, war's coming. The next episode will definitely be a battle episode. But Missandei gets her head chopped off because Cersei says, back off, bend the knee pretty much, or Missandei's gonna die. And Daenerys doesn't, so Missandei brutally gets her head chopped off, and it's so sad. You see it in Grey Worm's face, you see it in Daenerys' face, and Daenerys is now the Mad Queen. I don't really follow how we got here, but she's definitely on the Mad Queen now, and like, she has nothing left to lose. You see how angry she is in her face. She has no Jorah, no Missandei, no Jon, because they're not really working out right now. She is half the army. She's only one dragon now since Euron killed it, and it's just on. And it's gonna be a savage next episode for her because she has no advisors left. She's nobody that she cares for left, really, besides Jon, but who knows how that's going. That is this week's episode of Game of Thrones. Thank you for hanging out while I do my makeup and just break down the episode for you guys. I will see you guys next week for another Game of Thrones Get Ready With Me. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!